Hi you guys, my name is Cameron Small and I will be doing my oral presentation on captivity narratives. Captivity narratives began around the 17th century and they formed a distinctive genre in Western literature when European explorers recorded their accounts on wars, captivity, sacrifice, and or adoption. And when it comes to these narratives, you should be careful to identify which ones are factive or fictive. And historians have read numerous accounts over the years, and to find out that not everything is true what has been published. And two great examples are from Jemima Howe and Maria Kittle, because their stories employ first-person narration by a female captive who emphasizes the loss of family members, their home, and sense of personal security. And women's stories and faith are represented in a large proportion of this genre, which raises important issues for scholars who argue that the American captivity narrative is the first truly American literary genre, since most stories cannot be authenticated. 19th century authors and publishers of captivity narratives employed various formats to expand and exploit the genre's potential for ideological reinforcement. The most popular captivity narrative I found was The Sovereignty and Goodness of God by Mary Rowlandson, and it came out in 1682. And it displays the tension between the narrative's ethnographic description and the personal testimony produced by ambiguous text. And the summary of that story is when Rowlandson was in her hometown of Lancaster, Massachusetts with her family. Out of nowhere in the night, the Indians came and burned down their town, and the next thing they knew, their home was being burnt down, and they were forced to get out of their house, and they were being held captive by the Indians. And I think it was her husband that actually died in that, and others died as well, of course. But she was forced to go with them because she didn't want to die. And from then on, her book explains about her journey throughout with the Indians. And some facts about captivity narratives are real captives were usually released by ransom, either directly from the Indians or the Indians' French allies. Occasionally, their resilience enabled them to escape on their own, but it would be hard to because they were surrounded and kept up, held away. You know, they suffered. The captives really suffered a lot during this time. And most captives were either men or married women, because the unmarried women were able to make a romantic capital out of their situation. Real captives were released due to negotiations by an official group. They attributed their salvation to divine mercy instead of to an individual's initiative. The Puritans' beliefs are obvious in captivity narratives that demonstrated moral sympathy for the Indian cause. The depictions of the Indians in these narratives were often exploited to justify the Puritans' plans for genocide. And the last fact is how women were portrayed as inexpressible affliction in the American wilderness, while men were displayed as an adaptation and acculturation, mirroring the whites' gradual acceptance of the wilderness of the New World. And in conclusion to this, captivity narratives has actually really intrigued me. I would highly recommend reading them. I would probably read them if I had more time to. Maybe in my later years I will be able to read some, because this is very interesting. I've always been skeptical and curious on how the settlers came over here and obtained America. But now that I have found out some more information, I did not know that a lot of it was fictive. And that's a new word for me that I just learned. And so I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye-bye.